everybody. It is Steve, your friendly neighborhood lawn gnome. Welcome back to the final episode of Stats, Trends, and Picks over here on That's Comical for 2023. And if you're watching and it happens to be a Wednesday, happy new comic book day. Well, I am really excited to go over the final month of 2023, taking a look at my statistics in regards to what I read, as well as what my predictions turned out to be, and more importantly, how things are looking for 2024. So let's start off with the purchase numbers. So I did a little bit of backtracking, and we have now officially gotten to a total of 441 comic books for 2023. That's how many books that I read in total. 141 DC books, 100 Marvel books, 149 Image comics, and 51 of a conglomerate that includes indie companies like Boom Studios, Dark Horse, etc., etc. There was a drop. A pretty significant drop in regards to where I was in 2022, but again, after a couple of years of getting back into comics, it was only going to be a matter of time before I finally figured out where I am, what are my likes, what are my dislikes, rather than buying everything and anything that I see. And I'm anticipating things to continue going in the downward trend in regards to new releases, and that's just due to a couple of things I've been hearing in the news, and we'll get to that in just a couple of minutes. So once again, for this month, DC came out on top, and Image was right behind, and Marvel Comics and the other not so great. Let's take a look at the percentages. Almost 43% of my reading came from DC, and 37% came from Image. I'm not surprised. DC has managed to keep me invested due to a couple of things that I personally find wonderful. Mark Waid giving us World's Finest, The Golden Age, headed by Jeff Johns, as well as a couple of other mini-series that I have been seeing, and of course, Ram V's Detective Comics run. It has just been such a great read. But I really don't know what the future holds for DC, but I know for a solid fact that Image is going to continue to stay where they are, if not better, because of the fact that there's going to be a new Spawn book coming, there's going to be the 350th issue of Spawn, there's going to be a couple of really great miniseries, as well, of course, as the Energon universe, which is busting records right now. Every single one of those books that I have been reading has been wonderful. And as far as the other conglomerate, I expect that to not stay as low as it was this year. I'm anticipating that to go up too, just because of the fact that we got big news that Mark Millar took his work from Image over to Dark Horse, so we're going to see some Dark Horse books a lot next year with a couple of things that he's got going down the pike. And then when we take a look at the purchasing statistics, DC and Image, wow. Look at this. Look at where we started in January. Look at where DC and Marvel were, and take a look at where DC and Marvel are now. They're so distant from one another. They tied at one point in time, but now they're just so far apart. But Marvel could surprise, because in January, we definitely have some big things happening in Marvel. Even though I'm having a feeling I'm probably going to torture myself, I am going to read the end of the Krakoa era, as well as the brand new Chip Zdarsky miniseries, Avengers Twilight. And right now, in regards to current ongoing series from Marvel, it's pretty much just Philip Kennedy Johnson's Incredible Hulk, which is great, and of course The Immortal Thor by Al Ewing, which still has kept me on the hook. But who knows? Maybe we'll get some more Ron Mars and Ron Lim miniseries, maybe some more Hulk stuff from Peter David. Those have been great. And, of course, because of the fact that it's December, we got to bring out the purchasing statistics that go all the way back to since I started keeping track. And this is definitely a sight. Take a look at January 1st, 2021, and take a look at where Marvel Comics were, and take a look at where Marvel Comics is now. Take a look at where Image was, and take a look at where Image is now. So surprising, and it just gets me a little bit more excited to what's going to happen in the coming year. I know that there's been a lot of negativity about the end of comic books in regards to Western comics, and that manga's pretty much taking over, but the truth of the matter is, guys, if you don't know where to look, you're never going to find some really great reads. And I have been fortunate to do research, talk to my local comic book store manager, as well as really be a part of this great comic book community. And I have found some wonderful titles, not necessarily in Marvel or DC, but some truly great ones. That's what 2023 was, and I'm looking forward to what 2024 is going to be. And let's take a look at my predictions from this past month. So, we were fortunate to have a very strong new comic book month. I really enjoyed a lot of the books that I read, and there's definitely some great things to talk about. For the first week of December, I was planning for it to be Rick Remender's The Sacrificers #5 from Image Comics, and it did not disappoint. It was such a great read. This book just does wonders. It is my favorite book of 2023. I can now officially say that with a smile on my face. This truthfully is a game changer. Rick Remender has given me such a rich story, and even though we're going to be taking a hiatus in January after issue #6 comes out, I'm really hoping it doesn't take too long for the next issue to come out. For the second week in December of 2023, I thought I was going to be giving it to Ram V's Detective Comics issue 1079, and also I was planning to also possibly give it later on in the month to Detective Comics issue number 1080, because this story has been truly great. But it wasn't either of them, just because of the fact that there were some big surprises, and one of them was one that I did not see coming. The book that became my #1 pick in the second week of December of 2023 was a little book over at IDW. It was called Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, by a writer that I've never heard of called Patrick Hovarth, and the first issue came out long after I found out that this comic book existed. I was about a month behind, and thank goodness I was able to find a first printing for a decent price of the first issue, because this already has gone into its third printing for its first issue. But the little blurb that I stumbled upon was, it was Dexter meets Richard Scarry's Busy Town. That blew my mind. And I'm also finding it very interesting that my favorite books to read in 2023 were horror-themed or books that starred anthropomorphic or talking animals, and this one is one of those books. Issue #2 was incredible. I even read this one before I read issue #1, and still very much enjoy it because I already understood what was going on. But this book is an incredible book. Apparently it's going to be 6 issues, possibly 5, and this could end up being one of my top books of 2024. But let's see what happens in the coming year. For the third week of December 2023, I gave it to Jeremy Adams over at DC Comics with Jay Garrick The Flash issue #3. I predicted it correctly. I went half and half this time around. 2 correct and 2 incorrect. And that's fine. 50-50 is cool. But this is the best miniseries of the Golden Age series that was headlined by Jeff Johns with his Justice Society of America books. And I just love this book. The art is great. The story is great. I'm connecting with these characters. When people talk about their favorite Flashes, a lot of people will go with Wally West or Barry Allen, but I gotta be honest, with books like this, I am starting to say that my favorite Flash is Jay Garrick, and I just love this book, and I'm wondering what's going to happen when this and the other 2 6-issue miniseries of the Golden Age do in fact conclude. But we will see. And as I said, I did want to give it to Detective Comics 1080 for the last week of December 2023, but it was a good issue. This entire story arc was fantastic, and I'm looking forward to the next one that starts with 1081 over at Detective Comics. But I ended up surprisingly going back over to Image and giving it to Jeff Lemire's Tenement issue #7 from the Bone Orchard mythos. Ever since I picked up the free Comic Book Day promo 2 years ago, and I've read everything that is connected to the Bone Orchard mythos, written by Jeff Lemire, and artwork by Andre Sorrentino. This is incredible stuff, guys. If you're a horror fan, you're going to love it. And what I loved so much about Tenement issue #7 was it actually was the first book to tie all of the Bone Orchard mythos together to an extent, and the world has officially opened up. So I'm not only excited to read issue #8 and the rest of Tenement, but very curious to see what Jeff Lemire has for us in regards to the rest of the Bone Orchard mythos in 2024, because he's one of the best writers out there. He's been firing on all cylinders for such a long time now, and this book is no different. So that was 2023, guys, the year that was. What is going to be in store for 2024? Well, I'm not going to be a negative Nancy. I'm going to be a little bit positive. I'm not going to say that things are going to officially right their ways in regards to DC and Marvel Comics, but I definitely feel that 2024 is going to be the year of the indie book, especially considering the fact that Jeff Lemire is doing wonders over at Image Comics. We've got Mark Miller bringing his work over to Dark Horse Comics, and ever since I read his Big Game miniseries. I have been backtracking on a lot of his miniseries, and I've been reading so many great things from the Chrononauts to Huck. I'm having a blast with his Miller World comics, and I'm really excited to see what he is going to bring over to Dark Horse. And we also have Mad Ghost Studios from Geoff Johns. He and Mark Millar have brought some amazing writers and artists with them to their respective individual companies. And alongside Image and Dark Horse, which is known for great indie stories, I feel that these two guys are the future of the comic book industry when it comes to Western books. So I don't know what the future holds, but I'm definitely feeling very positive. And if the Miller World and Mad Ghost worlds can truly open up the world of comics and get people back into their stores and reading stuff, then I think the sky is the limit, because I read the 2-issue origin story of Geiger after not really enjoying the miniseries that Geoff Johns wrote, but I feel with Ground Zero, he really polished up his work and finally found his groove just as well as he was when he worked on Green Lantern and JSA, so I really see big things coming from him as well as the other artists that I mentioned. But what are going to be the top picks for January 2024? Well, the good news is we're going to start off the year with a 5-week new comic book month, which is always very exciting. And I'm going to give the first pick of January 2024 to Marvel Comics and the Rons. Ron Mars and Ron Lim. It's going to be a small week for me. I'm only getting like 4 or 5 books, I believe. But the conclusion of Silver Surfer Rebirth Legacy, issue number 5, is coming. And I've been enjoying everything that they've done ever since they started with Silver Surfer Rebirth. I don't know what's going to happen after this book concludes. I'm having a feeling there might be more. Another Silver Surfer story, another Adam Warlock story, maybe something else in the Marvel Cosmic Universe. But one way or another, I've been loving what the Rons have been doing. Ron Mars and Ron Lim are amazing when it comes to bringing the 90s back. And Silver Surfer Rebirth Legacy, I'm expecting a true, fun conclusion to this 5-issue story arc. For my second week of January 2024, I'm going over to Image, and I'm giving it to Daniel Warren Johnson's Transformers issue number 4. I've been loving the Energon universe. Void Rivals is coming back in March. Also, we had the start of the G.I. Joe miniseries, thanks to Joshua Williamson, who has written Duke, and will also be writing Cobra Commander. So, G.I. Joe is now officially in the Energon universe, and along with Mark Millar, Geoff Johns, Todd McFarlane, I feel that the guys who are putting together the Energon universe, Daniel Warren Johnson, Josh Williamson, Robert Kirkman, all of these great guys, they're also going to really try and push Western comics to the places where they've never been before. And going backwards and finding old franchises like Transformers and G.I. Joe, and who knows what else is coming in the Energon universe. I'm excited for Transformers regardless. For the third week in January 2024, God willing, as long as they don't push it again, the conclusion of Neil Gaiman and Mark Buckingham's Miracle Man, The Silver Age, issue number 7, over at Marvel Comics. I have been waiting for these issues, and I have been loving this world. As I said, Miracle Man, starting with the Alan Moore work, may be my favorite comic book of all time. And seeing the conclusion of The Silver Age, after so many fans have been waiting for it, I wonder what's coming next. Will we see the third and final installment of Neil Gaiman and Mark Buckingham's work with The Dark Age? I hope so, and I hope it comes out in 2024, because if Marvel wants a true winning book, this is one of them. For the fourth week in January 2024, I'm going to give it to Image and the one-shot of Ghost Machine issue number 1, which of course is the Mad Ghost label and the Ghost Machine world. And this is Geoff Johns, Peter Tomasi, Brad Meltzer, so many well-known writers, as well as artists like Francis Manapul, Brian Hitch, Jason Fabok, Ivan Reis. These are big names, guys, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. These guys are also going to really try and push the future of Western comics, and I am excited to discover all of these new characters who have titles coming out in the year to come. And for the final week of January of 2024, I am going to give it to a landmark in independent comic books. Todd McFarlane's brainchild, Spawn, with issue number 350. I have been back on the Spawn train since issue 300 came out. I have been invested in the new titles. There's even more titles coming out in 2024. Don't know if I'm going to read them, or at least read some of them, but 350 issues of Spawn, guys. That's amazing. And we are now officially halfway through the current story arc. So I am anticipating this story arc to go all the way to issue 400, and I will be there for that. And I'm really curious to see how this story is going to weave into Gunslinger, Scorched, and King Spawn, because we're sort of seeing little inklings of true tie-ins right now, but I'm expecting things to get bigger and better. And that's going to wrap up my stats, trends, and picks for December of 2023 and all of 2023. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Put your comments in the box below and let me know what some of your favorite picks were for December of 2023 and if I missed any. But in the meantime, I'm looking forward to another great year over at That's Comical. I know we promised a lot, but we definitely did better than we did last year. We're just finally trying to find our grooves, and we're trying to make sure that our schedules are able to allow us to commit to this channel. But good things have been happening. I promise you guys. I know that I've been saying I promise, but I have been telling the truth. And I'm expecting a great year from me and my colleagues over here on That's Comical. So for now, guys, have a wonderful, happy, safe, and more importantly, a healthy new year, and we will hopefully all see you in the next one.